This video is going to be a little different to our usual videos. It will involve some political stuff, so if you're unwilling to hear it, then you can hit stop. And yes, I'm also aware that in making this video, we're putting a mini target on our backs. But this is something we and I feel strongly about. This is something that we all feel we need to spend a few moments discussing. Yesterday, in Washington, D.C., a mob of angry people, egged on by the current US president, some of his aides, and yes, some other elected officials, stormed the US Capitol building. They were not peaceful protesters. They were terrorists, hell-bent on entering into both chambers and tracking down those lawmakers, including the vice president, in an attempt to overthrow the democratic process of the US general election. Most, if not all, of those involved in yesterday's attack on democracy had fed on a diet of poor journalism, conspiracy theories, and a lack of scientific evidence and cold, hard proof. They had ignored all of the judicial opinions on the 60-plus court cases filed between the election and the end of 2020, opinions which were sometimes issued by Republican-leaning judges. And just like there was no place for violent protests last summer, there was no place for violence yesterday in the Capitol. So what does this have to do with us? With a channel that covers the world of cleaner, greener, safer and smarter transportation? First, as I have said many times before, like it or not, politics is part of our everyday life. We have to engage in it in order for us to be an active member of the society we live in. It affects everyday decisions about how we live. It affects how electric vehicles and clean energy policies are formed. It decides who gets subsidies or not, and it affects everyone. Yesterday's events in the US were an attempt to change that. They were an attempt to effect a coup, an insurrection, because a divided, split country did not agree with the results of a democratic election. As a fairly recent American citizen, I became one last year, I'm currently ashamed of my adopted country. But the path that led us to yesterday was one that we all, in some way or another, allowed to happen around the world. People post fake conspiracy theories under the guise of free speech. Social media spread those theories under the guise of free speech. And while some asked for evidence to back up those claims, most turned a blind eye or decided that hatred, false information, and conspiracy theories should be allowed to spread and infect our global consciousness because free speech is a sacred right. And it is. Freedom of the press and freedom of the people to speak is essential in any democracy, but so too is the scrutiny and examination of anything that is said to validate its truth or expose its lies. On this channel, as you know, we try really hard to be as objective as we can be. Sometimes that means when we get things wrong, we have to correct ourselves. Sometimes that means we say things that are hard to hear. And sometimes you guys point out when we've screwed up and are out of line. This operates in a form of checks and balances to keep what we say honest and to keep what we report accurate. But in the comments section, it's sometimes a free-for-all. It has allowed people who have conspiracy theories and no evidence to back up their claims to infiltrate, to hate, and to spread misinformation. And one of the jobs of the press is to ensure that we report the facts, the news, and we tackle misinformation head-on. Therefore, from now on, we are going to be changing some of the things, specifically our editorial policy when it comes to the comments section. First, we will be taking a hardline approach to anyone posting misinformation about the US election, the validity of that election, and any baseless claims thereof. The outcome of the election has been scrutinised by more than 60 court cases and dismissed. It has undergone multiple recounts in many states. The results are now validated and accepted. The misinformation and the conspiracy theories end today. Second, any allegations made against myself or the rest of the team that are baseless and without merit, such as the wild, unproven conspiracies that we are all somehow paid by big oil, automakers seeking to bring Tesla down, or some other mysterious cabal, religious or otherwise. Yes, we've had these all in the past, by the way. will result in a similarly hardline approach: delete and ban. Third, and this one goes without saying, any homophobia, transphobia, xenophobia, racism, bigotry, misogyny, or similar discriminatory sentiment will be removed. We are a global society and we need to grow the freak up and remember how to politely and respectfully disagree without dropping to the levels that we've seen become normal over the last 4 years. If in doubt, remember that your freedoms, religious and political beliefs do not give you the right to curtail others, and remember that there is a massive difference between facts and beliefs. Facts can be discussed and verified, beliefs cannot, and thus beliefs are what you keep inside, while facts are what you discuss. Discussion of the topics we cover and the companies in the space that we cover are valid and welcomed if they are based in factual reporting, third-party evidence, or personal, verifiable experience. They are not welcome if they are hearsay from the back pages of the internet. When we publish something online, we have a duty as journalists to try and be as accurate and as researched as possible. If something is hearsay or rumour, we say so. It's time for our commentators and our viewers to do the same when they discuss our content. So where does this leave us as a channel? Hopefully, continuing our growth and expansion of coverage of an exciting world. We welcome free speech and we welcome facts and proof and science. We do not accept hatred and misinformation. Finally, in order to keep things a little more sane in that regard, we are going to be looking out for people to help us in the future with content moderation. This may or may not include a social media manager, so watch this space. Thanks for listening. Keep evolving.